Today is April the 17th, 2023. Kia ora and greetings from New Zealand. My name is Billy Te Kahika and I am a Christian civil liberties activist. I'm also a former politician and a former member of the New Zealand Army, Police and Volunteer Fire Brigade Service as a support person. I'm also a former White Ribbon Campaign Ambassador, which is the campaign against family violence. I'm also a youth advocate, a road safety advocate, and have been a part of many campaigns designed at making New Zealand a better place to live in. I'm a pastor and a family man, and I have no previous convictions. I am being persecuted by the New Zealand government. In 2021, in August, I was arrested for peacefully protesting against COVID-19 lockdowns. New Zealand had just been locked down because of one case of COVID. Lockdowns have caused massive harm in New Zealand. Massive and tragic numbers of suicide, of people dying alone, of distress, fear, anger, domestic violence, family violence, general violence and crimes on the massive rise because of lockdowns and economic destruction, or for what is now regarded as being an unworkable tool called COVID-19 lockdowns. It is now generally regarded that COVID-19 lockdowns were not a viable tool to be used to mitigate the risk of COVID-19 because, and I quote, a recent Johns Hopkins University report, they offer no benefit and should be rejected outright, end of quote. Even the New Zealand government admits that COVID-19 lockdowns cause far too much harm. On the day that I was arrested, 18th of August 2021, to emphasise this sad point, a young girl in my community aged 14 took her own life because of lockdown anxiety. So I was arrested that day along with a colleague of mine, Vinny Eastwood, and 20 months later, on December the 15th, we were found guilty of breaching the COVID-19 Public Health Response Act 2020. I want to emphasise at this point that from our protest, there were no cases of COVID-19, there was no violence, there was no property damaged, and essentially there was no harm or public annoyance of any kind. It is a victimless crime. Yet for that crime, and since then, we have already endured home detention. I was under house arrest for 19 days. I lost access to the internet. I wasn't allowed to talk to certain people, and my movement, even after the 19 days of house arrest, my movement was limited. This is unprecedented in New Zealand history. A month after being found guilty, we were found guilty and sentenced to 4 months imprisonment for myself and 3 months imprisonment for Vinny Eastwood. At the sentence hearing, my record of service to my country and community was read out, and the judge admitted he'd received a significant number of character references that attested to my good character. Despite all of this, he sentenced me to 4 months in prison. The judge had other options up his sleeve to which he could have used to penalise me. The New Zealand Corrections Service provided the judge with what they call a pre-sentencing report about me. In this report, it says I represent no threat to the public, the risk of reoffending is nil, that I'm a good person and I require no rehabilitation, and I have a beautiful family. And yet, despite this incredible report, and despite the service recommending that I be fined and convicted, or at the very worst be given a community detention sentence, which means I get confined to my home, but I'm able to move around and do my work, but be under house arrest for the weekend. Despite that, the judge still sentenced me to 4 months prison. This represents the harshest sentence that has been given in New Zealand for lockdown resistance. It is also one of the harshest given in the Western world. This cannot stand. This is not prosecution, this is persecution, and the judiciary has been politicised to make examples of myself and Vinny Eastwood. We need your help. We are out on bail and we are appealing our charges and the sentence, and we are running a petition. This petition is to seek that our charges are dismissed and that our sentence is overturned. Our sentence of imprisonment is overturned. The campaign is called Justice for Billy Te Kahika and Vinny Eastwood, and it is on change.org. You can find it there, and there's the link just below. Please share this message as far and wide as you can. We need to send a strong message on behalf of all New Zealanders that this type of sentencing and politicisation of punishment is not to be tolerated in New Zealand. I believe it's either freedom for everybody or it's freedom for nobody. And when I protested, have always protested for the rights and civil liberties of all New Zealanders with all and of all persuasions. There's also another concern that I wish to share with you. I believe if the New Zealand government imprison me, that my safety may be in jeopardy. My trust is in the Lord, but I also understand, mostly assessed by the behaviour of this government and ones just like it that have existed beforehand, that they like to punish people like me once they get us into prison, and in extreme cases cause us harm and even silence us for good. My fear is that the government would allow somebody to harm me or perpetrate harm against me, either to hurt me or to silence me forever. I do not say this to be dramatic or to overemphasize or stretch a point. My concerns are based on the behaviour I've seen of this government, which has been brutal. So again, if you can please share this petition and help us to get this message out, I would be very, very grateful. If you would like to contact me, you can and are welcome to contact me using this email here, billy@ibc.net.nz. As you can imagine, this sentence has been highly stressful and distressful to my beautiful family. We had no idea that this may be ahead of us, and it's still not over even with these charges being dealt with, because the New Zealand government is also claiming that I'm a liar and that I'm a thief, and I'm facing electoral fraud charges which have been framed against me because of a report that I submitted, a declaration following the election in 2020. There is absolutely no truth or justification for these charges against me. But yet, this is more evidence that I'm being persecuted. And again, I wish to highlight, I have no previous convictions, and I've done my best throughout my life to only be a positive contributor to New Zealand society. So in closing, please keep me and Vinny in your prayers and our families, and please hit the share button, and please sign this petition. Thank you for your time today. I greatly appreciate it and wish you well, and that you and your family may be in God's mighty care. Thank you very much, and goodbye.